So I think actually Grinch marked this down as one of our first predictions for our episode today, that our Nike collaboration will result in a Nike Air Force One build. And I think that is totally on point for what to expect for this shoe collaboration. Hello, bricks, chicks, and minifigures. You are listening to AFOLs Welcome, where we talk about all things Lego from the perspective of two adult collectors. We are your co-hosts, West
and Grinch.
And today we are going to be talking about what to expect from Lego in 2025. But first, Grinch, I believe you have a PSA for everyone.
As I mentioned last week, I am planning on being at Brick World Grand Rapids on Saturday. I will be there probably until from open to probably 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, but definitely there kind of more towards the open. So if you want to stop by and say hi, look for me in the yellow shirt. We don't have a booth or anything, but as we talked about last week, we're just trying this out. And if you want to just stop by and say hello, come find me.
Yeah, and we hope to do a few of these every year, I think is the goal or idea here. And it's just an opportunity for us to get out there and meet some fellow Lego fans and have some great conversations about what our shared passion means to us. So if you are able to come out to that Brick World convention, please come by and say hi to Grinch.
Awesome.
Next, let's talk about some exciting Lego news.
Exciting Lego news.
So Grinch, we had some really fun news this week. First up, the holiday wreath and poinsettia was officially revealed. There is a Batman classic TV series Batmobile that was revealed. Apparently, there's a rumor going around of Lego Daft Punk, and we are still on the cusp of some really exciting September releases. So, Grinch, where would you like to start first?
I was actually pleasantly surprised with the wreath. We talked a lot about the poinsettia last week, so I don't really have much more to kind of offer there other than we got legit pictures of it. Now it's revealed. You can see it online. But the wreath actually looks really good.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's your classic looking wreath. It's funny because they use palm tree pieces for it. So it's part of me always sees it as a palm tree, and the other part of me now sees it as a wreath. It works really, really well for that. And then there's some dish pieces on there that represent orange slices or mandarin slices or whatever the heck is in this wreath. The dried up orange slice. So that looks like to be a new print. And then you can kind of customize it a little bit by changing out some of the different kind of berries and different kind of configurations.
And for those of you who are not in North America, it's a cultural thing for every single one of us to put orange slices in our wreaths. So if you ever come visit during the holidays and you need a quick boost of vitamin C, just go to somebody's door, go to their wreath, and grab an orange slice.
I had no idea that was an American thing. Is that an American thing?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
No, I sorry, any other thoughts on the wreath and poinsettia before I jump in and share mine?
You need to talk more about these orange slices. Is this an American thing or not?
No, it's not. Although for
you were just trolling because
holidays,
I'm like, whoa.
People will take cloves, right, and put those inside oranges, and the cloves will help dry out the orange, and it actually creates a really great smell. And aromatic.
But I have no idea what that has to do with a wreath.
It doesn't, other than to say that oranges are
maybe
part of a holiday tradition.
Is that a normal holiday tradition for anybody? I've never seen a wreath with. I guess maybe I've seen one or two, but it's more. It's not as common as red holly berries or
yeah, I guess
pine cones. You know what I mean? Which is on the wreath.
Yeah, shoot us a note if the wreath tradition in your part of the woods includes putting orange slices in them.
The other cool thing about the wreath though is that you can just use it as like regular garland.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is you probably need to get two of them at least if you try to go like the full length of like a fireplace or mantle or something like that. But kind of a different use for it that makes it unique. I wonder too. I really makes me wonder what the kind of internal structural kind of backbone is for the set, so to speak, because obviously it could be a little bit kind of tedious putting together because there's a lot of laid leaf pieces here, you know.
I made the one from 2 years ago, and it was tedious. There was a lot
Okay.
going on there, and I forget what the insides of it were specifically, whether it was held with ball joints or like those ratcheting pieces. But I do recall it being
Mm.
pretty. There was a lot of building kind of like the same thing, like build this piece 6 times and then you just kind of put them all together at the end. So it
Hmm.
was an interesting and fun holiday build, but didn't come anywhere close to how good this one looks. This is truly, in my opinion, Lego Botanicals like firing on all cylinders here. It looks
Yeah.
really good. The
This looks.
poinsettia looks great, but I don't think it comes anywhere close to the wreath. The wreath, and you and I talked about this last week, even about how like, hey, we know the poinsettia's coming out, but I don't think we necessarily spoke of a wreath. That was something that had
Mhm.
come to mind for me. I mean, I don't know what else they could do at this point. Maybe like some mistletoe or something. That would be a really fun little like gift with purchase or something
Sure.
else. But I think we're kind of tapping out on the holiday botanical stuff, at least for the winter holiday season. I'm sure there's some other holidays that we could see some botanicals with, but it's a great. I think this is a fantastic contribution to the botanicals theme. It just looks really good. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, the poinsettia's okay in my mind. There's something wrong. Like the flowers just feel too pointy.
Yeah,
They
yeah, I
need to
would
be a
agree.
little bit rounder. But the wreath really kind of takes the cake for me. It looks really really good.
I think the thing with the poinsettias is it's almost too symmetrical, right? Like everything is kind of perfect. Where
Yeah,
with the wreath, there's just enough variation in it where like and enough the details aren't repeating that many times that it kind of tricks you into thinking that it's a little less repetitive than maybe the poinsettias are, even though it probably is
sure.
fairly repetitive. So so Grinch, the classic Batman Batmobile was revealed.
Hmm.
Any thoughts?
Um, I honestly, I wish you or I were like a bigger DC fan because we're just quite frankly not. But like, I just want to know like DC fans out there, are you excited to get another Batmobile? Because like it seems like all DC this is anymore is just like a smaller version of a Batmobile and then a bigger version of the Batmobile. Like that's
And
kind of
so
it for.
yeah, just to be clear too for our listeners, this is a larger version of the
Hmm.
black and red Batmobile that came out in minifigure scale a few years ago. So this is almost like the large creator expert cars that they used to do, or they still do, right?
Hmm.
The most
Yeah,
recent of which,
1,800 pieces.
yeah. So like in the same line of like the Ford Mustang and the Ecto one, and the most recent of which was the Lamborghini Countach from this year. So yeah, sorry, Grinch. Apologies. I agree. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I'm not a huge Batman fan and especially of this era. This is just a very nostalgic car for some people. It's a very nostalgic car for older car collectors too. I mean, it looks cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it looks great. I just like I like a little bit more diversity in my collection than just like 50 Batmobiles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
and
I
I
feel like this is one of those things too, like where it probably sells well,
Hmm.
because it's like just the little taste of Batman that like DC and Batman fans get every year. So it probably sells pretty well. So it's like, is it only selling well because it's the only thing you get from DC, which is a pretty big IP still. I mean, don't I mean I you know, you can talk about DC EU or whatever the heck it's called, or you know, the DC cinematic universe and how it kind of flopped, and the movies haven't been great, so it's not really like front of mind for a lot of people right now. But it's still, I mean, Batman still is like one of the most popular comic characters. Like it's still got a huge following. So does it sell well because it's something that people wanted, or does it sell well just because it's that little taste of Batman that people get in Lego every single year? That's my question.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Grinch, for everybody. I kind of wonder if, especially for Lego, that they probably should start thinking about leaning into some of the more alternative Batman theory like series. One that comes to mind for me was Batman Beyond, which was set in the future, and it came out in the early 2000s, late 90s, and came out to a lot of critical acclaim, and I think would be a really great, you know, IP or direction for Lego to consider. That could give
Mm-hmm.
them some new, fresher things that I think would be kind of interesting to see. But would you get anything from Batman Beyond?
Nope.
we
I'm just
didn't
not
really
really. I mean,
we didn't really watch it. Yeah,
we didn't, and like dude, I'm like setting up my Lego collection right now. I'll talk about it more in what are we building, but like I, I expanded my display area by quite a bit, and like I'm looking at it, I'm like I'm already like running out of space. So I gotta you gotta curate the collection like we've talked about.
as you say, you're gonna enjoy this one from a distance.
Exactly, I'm gonna enjoy it from a distance,
So Grinch, talk to me about
and
Lego
that's
Daft
okay.
Punk. I didn't see anything about this.
So this is not anywhere near confirmed. There's just been some conversation about it because, as we've talked about on the show, as you've probably heard, Pharrell Williams is doing this random Lego movie this year that comes out, I guess in like a month, actually,
Completely
October 11th.
random.
Totally random. Like there was rumors at the beginning of the year that there's going to be a new Lego movie. I guess this is it. But it's called Piece by Piece. I believe it's just kind of the story of Pharrell Williams. But they revealed, or a new poster came out. Um, and there's obviously Pharrell Williams in minifigure form, but in the poster, it's a bunch of people, and there's also Daft Punk. And so that makes, kind of makes anybody wonder, does that mean we're going to get like a Daft Punk minifigure at some point? Or are there going to be sets for this? Or is it, it wouldn't be the first time they solely did something for a digital IP, right? I mean, you know, on my YouTube channel, I made a lot of like top, 5 missing Lego dinosaurs because they made all these Lego dinosaurs in the Jurassic World game, but they never actually came out with them. So it wouldn't be the first time we got, a Lego-fied version of somebody officially from Lego and never saw them in actual real life set. I mean, that happened in Lego Movie, it happened in Lego Movie 2, etc.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be really interesting. Lego Daft Punk would be really fun. As far as I understand, they're still broken up, correct? Like as a band. Do you have any?
I believe, yeah, they haven't done any shows.
Which is
Yeah,
a bummer,
they're
but
on hiatus, I guess. Yeah.
which is also fair. But because they need to do their own thing.
Hmm.
I think it would be really cool to see those guys, especially, would be like kind of the perfect Lego minifigure. You know what I mean? With their helmets and everything, and then
Yeah, the helmets look really good, and then they have kind of their like stylish like tuxedos. One of them's gold, one of them's silver. Like it's kind of
yeah,
like their signature look. I mean, there's no way around this being Daft Punk. You know what I mean?
hmm,
So it'd be interesting for sure.
yeah, I would love to see that. I think that would be really cool. So I would buy whatever set they're in a heartbeat. Oh, you know what? I think we already
What?
confirmed this, but Pharrell is Columbia Records, right?
Yeah,
As part of that Lego deal. I wonder if Daft Punk was also in Columbia Records too.
maybe. as the EDM fan, I guess I should know this, but I don't. Yeah, Columbia, Virgin, Warner, Walt Disney. It just depends.
Yeah. Okay.
But they've done quite a bit with Columbia.
Yeah. So I mean, Lego could
Yeah, in
do
2013
that.
they left Columbia. They left Virgin for Columbia.
What would be really cool with that, right? Would be, we got, and I know the BTS set was an idea set. I don't think that one sold very well though.
It's funny that one sold out. I remember I woke up and I was on Lego Reddit that morning, and somebody had a picture of the line at the Lego store that morning for the BTS set, and it was
Really.
sold out for like the first month.
But
And
now I
then
feel like they
now I haven't seen anybody talk about it for like 6 months.
it's like heavily discounted too, is it not?
Yeah, I
Thought it
believe so,
was.
or I've seen it discounted.
Yeah. So, anyways, that would be interesting, much like how the Friends Central Perk set led to like a bunch of other movie
Hmm.
sets and sitcom sets. It'd be cool to see the BTS set kind of lead to like band sets. You know what I mean?
Well, that was Lego idea based, right? Like Central Perk was, and then Seinfeld, and technically,
The
I think the
Office.
Big Bang Theory really, the Big Bang Theory set from like 2016 really kind of started that, because that was when you started getting Office, Community, stuff like that submitted in Lego Ideas. It just never happened again until Friends. And then I
Yeah.
think that really, was another kind of catalyst that accelerated it. But yeah, this would, the BTS was Ideas, and I feel like you've you've seen quite a few Taylor Swift Ideas
Yeah. Those come
sets,
out like every year.
right? I mean, like a couple times, right?
And like multiple of
Um,
them make the 10,000 vote
right,
cut.
right,
It's kind
right.
of silly.
And then but the other approach would be to do something like the Jazz Quartet, which I also kind of think kind of came and went as well.
Yeah, I think that one was probably misunderstood because I
Yeah.
think it's a really cool set. But,
Again,
anyways,
one I enjoyed from the distance.
moving on to our last topic, just exciting September releases. So I know we talked about this the other day. I feel like we're just going to keep bringing this up until we see the releases. But just for everyone's awareness, it's the last
Literally
day.
the day you're listening to this, these sets are out.
Yeah. Well, I guess not necessarily September releases, right? But the September reveals was really what I was
Oh,
getting
okay.
after. So, but we are right there, guys, right on the cusp of getting reveals for our Lego Winter Village set this year, getting reveals for our UCS set this year, our final Star Wars UCS set. So, if there's, I would imagine details about the modular building this year should start to come out.
Well, West, I think we're going to talk about this next. So
Yes.
why don't we push to our main topic?
Okay, let's do that. Any other
Okay.
exciting Lego news, Grinch, that you want to talk about before we move on?
Not that I heard of, unless, of course, like me, you're a fan of Lego The Lord of the Rings. It's free on Prime Gaming right now. So if you're on Prime Gaming, you can go play the game for free, which is
Nice.
really funny because I was randomly on Twitch yesterday, and like a bunch of random people were streaming it. I'm like, why is everybody streaming Lego Lord of the Rings right now? I just was like looking for Lego content, and
That
I
was a
was like,
that was a good one.
it was a good one. It was just so random. So I like looked up and I was like, oh, it's free on Prime Gaming. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Well, let's press on to our main topic.
Today's topic.
For our main topic this week, we are going to talk about what to expect from Lego in 2025. Now, before we kind of dig into this, I do want to provide a quick disclaimer that what we're sharing is purely speculative and it's based just kind of on our own opinions. So, if you disagree with our opinions, please let us know in the comments. And, but I just, want to put that out there that this is kind of what we think. We don't have any inside line with Lego, but
Mm-hmm.
just looking at the trends, we're going to try to forecast a little bit. I think, Grinch, it would actually be really fun this time next year to come back to this episode
Oh
and look
yeah,
at what we've predicted and see how
100%.
true that has happened or not.
Yeah, and I
So
think another way to put it too could be like what we would like to see from Lego in 2025 in some regard, right? Like there's kind of like what we expect and then like what we'd like to see.
yeah, and I think that's maybe a distinction that we should make when we're sharing kind of what we're
Hmm.
thinking. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Grinch. What before we start with that, let's just go over, like you said, and it kind of transitions nicely here.
Yeah.
What is yet to come in 2024?
So part of the reason I kind of had the idea for this episode was I was sitting there, I'm like, we kind of know everything that's going to happen in 2024. It'd be fun to kind of like call our shot if there's anything like we really believe in that we could see in 2025, like hot take, we're going to get our first Star Wars, collectible minifigure series. You know, I That's not mine. That's just an example. At this point, I'll see that. I'll believe that when I see it. Um, but again, I think it'd be good to kind of refresh on what else is out there for 2024 because at this point there should be no real big surprises for the rest of the year. So this
Mm-hmm.
is kind of a sweet spot of the year where it's like we kind of know what's coming out. I think with the exception of the modular, like we know there's going to be a modular, we don't know what it's going to be. But for everything else, we have a pretty good idea. So now's kind of a good time to start to make some of these, speculations and start to think about 2025 because, as you mentioned, September's coming up. We're going to start to kind of get these reveals for the end of the year and kind of mixed in with that. And for the remainder of the year, we're going to start seeing what's happening in 2025. I mean, shoot, I think 2-3 episodes ago, we were already talking about, some set names from 2025. So it's kind of like this kind of gray area right now where it's like we don't know too much about it yet, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, we've even already started to get some leaks of what to expect in 2025 a little bit, right? We had some information
Mm-hmm.
about some Star Wars leaks in the early January wave, but really, other than some of that, and then
The
some of the
Animal Crossing,
big set names, right?
Mario Kart,
Yeah, we're
Marvel, Harry
still
Potter names. Yeah.
we're still kind of waiting on more details for the rest of the year. So
Mm-hmm.
before we do that, though, let's talk about what's yet to come in 2024, because I think that is going to actually inform a little bit of what to expect in 2025. So, Grinch, what do you got?
So what else is coming out this year? The Endeavor, that should be like a Black Friday set. We really haven't gotten any more information on that outside of that it's coming, which was a little bit of a surprise in the first place. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually listened to a podcast about that ship recently. We have the X Mansion. We
Remind everybody
recently
what the Endeavor is.
the Endeavor. Oh gosh, dude! Like I was not paying that close attention on this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. It's a ship. It's from um, late 19th century, early 20th century. Sorry, it's from 19 like 20.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was a explorer. What was his name again? West.
Ernest Shackleton.
Shackleton. Shacky. He went to Antarctica, and he made a couple trips to Antarctica, I believe, but famously the ship kind of broke down in Antarctica. It actually went under the ice. Beautiful ship, and then they ended up surviving in Antarctica for like 3 months or something like that, just on their supplies and like walrus and seal fat. And it's a pretty remarkable story. And eventually, spoiler alert, but this is like 100 years old, so sorry. Um, they had to like split up the crew, and he and like 4 other people ended up like breaking off. And he's like, "I'm gonna come back and get you guys." And I believe they got everybody out that was on the crew, except for like one person, I think.
And Grinch, I actually have to clarify something. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the Endurance, not the Endeavor.
Endurance. I'm sorry. I've been saying Endeavor like a noob.
That's okay. That's
I just
okay.
wrote it down wrong and I went with it. But that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
Hey, you went full speed and you didn't look back. So
That's story of my life, unfortunately. there's a life lesson there.
Yeah, so it is the Endurance. You're right. It is Ernest Shackleton's ship, and Ernest Shackleton famously was trying to get to the South Pole, and so that was his expedition,
Hmm.
the vessel for his expedition, and famously doesn't go well for him, but they do survive, which is cool, and he does get lauded for his leadership in the moment to bring people home. You and I
Hmm.
actually were talking about a separate podcast or a video, and I think it was on TED, about how, as like employers, or how we seem to gravitate towards like bad leaders.
Hmm.
And it was funny because,
As quote unquote experience.
right, yeah, we like to see bad like mistakes, and we seem to think that that makes somebody better. And there was a Norwegian explorer, I believe it was a Norwegian explorer, and who was exploring the same time as Ernest Shackleton. Never made any sort of mistakes. I believe he was the first person to go to the South Pole. I'm going to look that up later and probably update everybody as we go. But he is hardly known, whereas Ernest Shackleton, who like literally made a series of bad choices, which got his crew into trouble in the first place, is then seen as like the hero of the story because he survived. And sure, survival is great, but the whole point that this gentleman was trying to make in his discussion was, wouldn't it be great if we just went with the person with more experience who wasn't kind of causing all this drama to begin with? And so, anyways, the Endurance is going to be definitely an interesting ship out of Lego. We haven't seen a big old Lego ship since the Pirates of Barracuda Bay.
Yeah, and that wasn't even like a full ship release.
Yeah, and since that ship, really, it's got to be the Pirates series, the Pirates of the Caribbean series. So,
Yeah, probably Silent Mary.
yeah.
Great ship, by the way.
Um,
So X Mansion, we also have the X Mansion. We got that little leak teaser, but kind of radio silence since then. I don't have much to add there. We know there's going to be that UCS sail barge. We we talked about on the podcast too a little bit, and nobody commented. So if you know anything about a hot air balloon ride being tied to winter tradition, we'll call it Christmas tradition, please let us know. Maybe that's a European thing. But we got kind of confirmation. We didn't see any images, right? But we got a like kind of leaked confirmation that the hot Winter Village hot air balloon will be coming out this year. And then Wes, what would you like to see from the modular?
well, I did want to note, I'm curious with the hot air balloon if we're
Mm-hmm.
going to get that built up in those balloon pieces that they came out with a few years ago that have still kind of made some rounds every once in a while. They're
Yeah.
highly specialized, so I'd be curious if that's something that Lego does. I don't really know any other way for them to do that, so I'm not sure what else they could do, but they haven't really released any modern sets with those pieces in a while. And I say modern as in 2020 and on. So, but you asked me what we wanted to do with the modular. We
Mm-hmm.
know Lego likes to explore different themes in the city. I hear a lot of people saying that this should be a corner modular because they usually do a corner, two sets, and then another corner. And
Okay.
while it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, we got the hotel was our last corner modular. We got then the jazz club and then the natural history museum. And so we should start to see this next one. If Lego continues with the series, we should get another corner building. We also know, if you look at designer interviews from the Jazz Club, that the builders of the modular series like to think about the city as a whole, as a holistic thing. And so they
We need a
said,
hospital.
yeah, maybe. They said, they built this hotel. They wanted to create kind of an entertainment district. And so they said, where better to go than like a jazz club or something?
Mm.
We also know they kind of like to set their buildings in a 1940s America, 50s America / Europe kind of feel, right? Some buildings feel more
Mm-hmm.
European, some feel more American. Certainly the boutique hotel felt maybe a little Cuban or Spanish, even in some of its influences. So it'll be really interesting to see what we get next. Yes, we have not gotten a proper hospital yet. Right, we have gotten a veterinary office in the corner garage, but we
Mm.
haven't gotten an actual like clinic. And I feel like that's probably more likely, like a clinic, than maybe a hospital.
You think so? Like as far as like civil service buildings go, though, we got a full fire station with the fire brigade. We got a full police station. You don't think they do a full on hospital
I don't know. I mean,
versus
maybe
because I feel like they would do both. Like the next assembly square, like that had the dentist, right? Was that the assembly
there was
square
a
that had the
dentist,
dentist?
yeah, in the assembly square.
They could do a small clinic, but I
That's
would
what I
think
was
if
kind
they
of thinking. Yeah,
dedicate a modular to a building, it would be a full on hospital.
yeah. It's tough to say, to be
Yeah.
honest. They haven't done like a full retail section either for a while.
No, well, for a while because they did the Grand Emporium.
Yes. Now that
Yep,
that was
a department store.
it's a lovely building. It's really, I think, difficult to call the inside of that truly a retail location.
West, I'm going to call you out on something. You called that one of your top 5 Lego sets of all time.
I think it has a lovely exterior facade.
Ah,
The
as mentioned in that episode. Shameless plug. Go watch
inside,
that episode.
yes, lacks a lot of details.
Yes.
So
You didn't like the chandelier build with the white 1x2s or the clear 1x2s?
the chandelier was great. I just think it was the capes used as the changing curtain on a
Mm-hmm.
floor that had nothing inside of it. I think if anything, right, like we saw it in the Queer Eye set where they had the shirts on like clothes hangers, kind of. Like, I think you could really make a store interior in Lego now with different styles of outfits and stuff for Lego shoppers, right? Like, I think we're at that point where you could do like a lot of like, you could do hats, you could do clothes, you could do sporting goods, you could do, we haven't gotten a hardware store. That would be kind of interesting,
Yeah.
although not necessarily an entertainment area. I don't know. That's tough. And a corner building is tough too, right? Certainly a
That's why I thought they'd do a
hospital.
hospital because then they can have kind of like the pull through.
Yeah.
Like if you picture the garage, how it had like the pull through for the gas station. Like if you could have something similar for the ambulance to pull up and then kind of 2 big doors right there. You could rush somebody in.
Yeah. No, that's a good
And we
point.
also haven't gotten a Lego hospital in general
No.
since 2018 ish, right?
We got one in City a few years ago.
We did,
Yeah. But it left a lot to be desired. I mean, it
right?
was very typical City, right? It's open. It's designed to be played with more than the modulars, which are sort of designed to show off like how much detail can we put in here within reason. So,
Right. Oh yeah, I
yeah.
guess we did get one not too long ago.
And it looked okay.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was a
It was
thing.
certainly a Lego set.
Exactly.
It was
Um,
a Lego set with pieces inside of it.
yeah, I don't know. And this kind of leads me to the last point too, which is that we know we're going to get the Lego Ideas of Botanical Garden set this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've chatted on a little bit about it, but based on the piece count and knowing what they've done with idea sets, I would not be surprised to see if this was modular compatible, which I
I
know
would
you
be
shared.
shocked, to be honest, if it was.
I Because I guess they haven't necessarily done that with
The,
idea sets.
and even the old fishing store, I don't even think was technically modular compatible. It was just on a base plate,
Right.
but it
I
didn't come. It's not like Daily Bugle where it came with
like
Technic pins,
yeah.
like ready to go. You know.
So for the purpose of this discussion, I will argue that if it comes on a base plate, it's modular compatible. But I hear what you're saying with the Technic pin placements. And truthfully, for a set that size, how could it not come on a base plate? I suppose then to kind of pull a reverse trick from Lego, if it uses the same style of like sidewalk with lamps and stuff, then I would also probably argue that that would make it modular compatible. But
Well, and the original design is,
yeah,
and it even uses the white lamppost,
yeah,
and it does have a Technic pin on it. Now that's the original design, but in Lego's rules of Lego Ideas, it explicitly states it cannot fit in an existing Lego theme.
right. And then on the Lego fan design stuff on Bricklink, they also just more recently kind of shut down
Right.
the modular builds. And so, yeah, I don't know. This one's kind of feels weird to me because I kind of mentioned it at the beginning of the episode when we were talking about our notes before we started recording. And I kind of feel like we're getting potentially two, well, if you include the X Mansion, 3 modular sets here at the end of the year. And so it'll be really interesting to see what this shapes up to be. But whatever the actual Lego modular set is, like it has to be different enough to turn heads and get everybody's attention. I always felt like a botanical garden would be a great modular set for Lego.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. This was a weird one. This also feels too like a botanical garden could fall under the botanical theme itself.
Right.
So although they've never branched, those sets have always been about realism, not necessarily about building something for a minifigure. So
My guess is it would maybe go more similar to like the Tranquil Garden style
yeah,
versus, like you could do some kind of, light modifications and kind of make it more, fit into a modular. But even if you think of Barracuda Bay having a similar piece count, right?
mm-hmm.
That's nowhere near modular. And my guess would it be they'll turn it into something more like that.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
Just my guess. If we want to make a bet on it, I certainly wouldn't mind adding it to my collection for free.
Oh my gosh, we're not gonna bet on that. It's fixing to be a very expensive set. So,
I don't even want it, so it's okay. I would have bet it.
but let's kind of wrap up. That's a discussion of what's to come in 2024, and of course,
Well,
oh sorry, go
I
ahead.
did want to, I wanted to comment on one more thing.
Yeah.
So we did, was it 2 years ago? There was this like, it went around. There was a survey that somebody leaked that they participated in, calling out all these sets. And I just wanted to revisit it really quickly because it's interesting, because I haven't in a long time. But Snow White Cottage, Maleficent Dragon, Donald Duck, a Zelda Great Deku Tree, Barad-dûr, a Medieval Village, Harry Potter Burrow, Batman Animated Series Goth Deco art set, Jabba Sail Barge, Buildable Simba, X Mansion, Sorting Hat. Of those, we haven't gotten 2 so far.
And sorry, what was the context of this? You said this was a
survey
that Lego did?
that somebody was asked to complete from Lego. And in the Lego community's infinite love of leaking, the first thing they did, like this was right after Rivendell was released, went out and just leaked this whole thing with piece counts. Barad-dûr around 4,000 pieces.
No.
Harry Potter Burrow set around 2,400 pieces. Jabba Sail Barge around 6,000 pieces.
Oh my gosh! If they make
Buildable Simba at 1,353 pieces. Like, so we've gotten all of them except for Maleficent Dragon and Donald Duck, because it's a buildable Donald Duck. So it says around 1,000 pieces for that.
yeah, which we know the Maleficent one is, I think, not coming anymore, right?
Well, they did. Yeah, I guess it was, maybe that one was maybe canceled or something.
And then the Donald Duck, I don't think I've heard anything about a Donald Duck set, but I don't know. That's interesting. That's
So
yeah.
we could maybe get, like, I could see between the Donald Duck and Maleficent, I could maybe see like one of those things just be like a surprise, like December 1st release. We just nobody's leaked it. We hadn't heard about it yet. I could potentially see that happening.
Yeah. Now we haven't, so like you said, we haven't gotten those yet. That would be an interesting surprise for December. In both cases, I would just wonder who that's for. But
No, just there's a big Disney following. I mean, who was the Simba set for? Who was the Little Mermaid set for? Who's the Disney Castle set for? Who's the Snow White set for?
yeah,
Same audience.
Grinch, can I make a confession?
What?
Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy Disney. Some of the like adult fans of Disney creep me out a little bit.
That's okay. There's plenty of YouTube videos that will accept you. There's one that was suggested to me called "Disney Adults Are Weird."
Oh dear.
However,
I'm just teasing.
um,
No, I
it's okay if you are a Disney adult. We support you here either way.
I'm an adult fan of Lego commenting on
Yeah,
Disney
I
adult.
mean,
So,
like I'm kind of cringing back at you right now.
oh really?
No, I don't actually care. That's my secret. I'm like Bruce Banner. Shall we move on, West?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So let's talk about some speculation here for 2025. So Grinch, what do we know so far? We know about a Formula One tie-in.
Mm-hmm. Which we talked about recently.
We did. We mentioned, or we kind of joked about some of the themes that we thought were the least likely to see a Formula One tie-in, right? Friends being both our favorite theme and probably one of the least likely to
Mm-hmm.
get a Formula One tie-in. But expecting definitely something with City. I would imagine a little bit more Speed Champions to kind of lean in on Formula One. But what else did you have in mind?
The other thing was the Nike tie-in that we talked about recently.
Yeah,
Which I think we talked about that last time, so we don't have to spend too long on it. But just there's a Lego and Nike partnership. We don't really know what that means yet. The earliest we'd probably see any of that kind of come to fruition or come to light would be 2025. So I think some Air Force Ones would be kind of sick. um, you know, we'll see.
so I think actually Grinch marked this down as one of our first predictions for our episode today, that our Nike collaboration will result in a Nike Air Force One build. And I think that is totally on point for what to expect for this shoe collaboration. I would also not be surprised if we saw some sort of wearable Lego content again, whether that be a pair of
Mm,
shoes, kind of like Adidas did, or maybe something more out of the lines of like the Levi's book, where we got actual wearable Lego kind of pieces and stuff on clothing. But what are your thoughts there for the Nike tie-in?
Well, when we get to our brick mail, we actually have a comment from somebody who I assume is a sneakerhead because they dropped some knowledge about the Adidas tie-in.
Yeah.
So I would turn it back to them and say, what would you like to see from that? But yeah, I certainly think we'd get like an Air Force One tie-in.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I think I was kind of burnt by the whole IKEA Lego tie-in that they did. I was always picturing something in my head much larger than what's it called, like Billy Bielek or whatever. Bielek, I think you have it. It was just like that little case that came with like 200 Lego pieces with like a little like studded top.
I didn't even get the case. I just
Oh,
got
you
like
didn't,
what was effectively a poly bag.
right?
Now they're still selling it. I was just at IKEA 2
Yeah, I
weekends
was just at
ago.
IKEA. Yeah, same actually.
So
I
they
was there
are
too.
selling the Legos.
I
I'd like to get them, but
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know if I feel like sometimes with these corporate partnership tie-ins, it could be as simple as like Lego's gonna have a couple of like random sets at Nike stores or something like that.
I would imagine they play it safe.
Yeah, I would too. I think it would be it'll probably be more along the lines of what happened with Adidas versus anything like truly revolutionary for Lego.
Yeah. Nice. Any other new themes to expect next year that you know of?
I think we'll get a return of Lego Avatar, as in the Blue People, James Cameron's Avatar,
Okay.
because
Are we
the new
expecting a
movie will be
movie?
coming out in 2025. Yep.
Yeah.
The
That's the
Oh
one
my
set in
gosh.
like the lava environment,
Fire,
right?
fire. Yeah, if
Yeah.
they just reveal the name, it's called like From Ashes or something like that.
You sound super excited.
No, I it's a little kind of cheesy that they're just visiting like different like biomes within this world, like or like the next one going to be the airbenders, like let's tie this even more into Avatar. We went to the waterbenders last time, like we had the earthbenders to start and now we're going to go
Oh
to the Fire
no.
Nation.
Oh no.
uh, but so I hope it doesn't, because I actually like the second one better than the first one, but I hope it just doesn't become like a rehash of like just the kind of like a very similar story over and over again. And like the
Yeah.
new part of it is just like, oh, but this world's fire world. Like I don't want to see that.
I think
So
that's a
I
large
do,
part of it, Grinch.
I do think that we'll get Lego Avatar, a return. I'd be surprised if we didn't, only because it's Disney themed, right? Like if it was not a Disney theme, I feel
Yeah.
like we would maybe not see it again because there was the delay.
Hmm.
And maybe the license expired or whatever, but I probably will get it. I do think that we'll see um, some more Nintendo themes. I no call on what it is yet, but we got Zelda this year, Animal
Mm.
Crossing the year before.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could say Mario Kart might be that new theme, but it's in that old Nintendo system. I think that there might be, maybe it's Samus, maybe it's something
Ooh.
along that line. Pikmin
Wouldn't Star Fox
or
be cool?
Star Fox would be awesome. Like that, I think we could get a one-off, different Nintendo set
Yeah.
and maybe introduce more Nintendo minifigures that will just like irk Mario collectors, because like we just got Zelda figures, so like a Star Fox figure just to like troll and piss everybody off,
Just
just to
to
be like, well, we
just to
can do it.
pee in their Cheerios.
Pee in their Cheerios, exactly. Pee in their one by one round Lego brick bowl. So that those are kind of my big calls. I think would be a new Nintendo kind of sub theme,
Yeah.
and then would be the Nike. We'll get like Air Force Ones.
I think that could be really cool, like a Nintendo sub theme. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't really know what other new themes to think on here. I would maybe predict a return to Speed Champions movie cars.
Okay.
And I actually had a
What
really,
movie?
oh, dude, I had such a great idea for that the other day.
Herbie.
No, but that's a good one. Like,
Oh,
legitimately.
okay. That was kind of trolling. Didn't
No, I
realize
think
it
that would
was
be
also this
good.
to Lego.
Yeah. No, I don't remember it off the top of my head, and I apologize. But it was like this old car, and I was like, oh, that would be a perfect like Lego movie throwback
Mm-hmm.
car. I think one of them might, like a really good one would be like the Bullet Mustang. So that would be like the green Mustang from the Bullet movie.
Mm-hmm. That's
You,
Steve McQueen, right?
I think so.
Guys, we're childs to the 90 over here. Please cut
I
us
know,
some
but I'm a car
slack.
guy. I should know better.
Pff, bro, you have no
Um,
excuse.
I mean, a really odd one would be Vanishing Point, but that would be kind of cool. They've already done the Dodge Charger Challengers before, so that wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily be like a brand new one. Certainly, returning back to like Fast and Furious would be great. With some of the other movie cars from those movies, that orange Supra would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We already got the Skyline from the second movie. There really was no car in this other car in the second movie that really stood out to me, but I do think that Supra would be a good one for the series. But like I said, if I come back to that one, I'll think on it and try to come back to it. But I do think you could see some more tie-in. Obviously, like we said, some Formula One tie-ins with Speed Champions makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. So that would be my contribution there for Speed Champions. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what we could expect in terms of new themes, right? I mean, Lego has been continuing to advance into the video game territory, like you mentioned.
Right.
So I would be curious maybe if there's like just a whole nother, they just announced Fortnite. Is there another video game
I
series?
think we'll get another wave of Fortnite for sure.
Yeah, maybe some more Dungeons and Dragons too,
Cool. Yeah.
potentially.
So there was also a rumor I heard of a new IP, and again, I think to differentiate when I talk about themes, I mean like here's a wave of 6 sets, and that's kind of getting a harder distinction now. So I guess to backtrack a little bit, when I talked about the Nintendo, it would probably be like an icons sub theme of a Star Fox, right? Because I feel like with icons you get the random one off here and there, kind of like they've been doing with Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah,
Where
and
it's
I don't
like
I don't know what else you
Rivendell,
could do for
Barad-dûr.
Star Fox that would be. I mean, I could see it being almost like the Buzz Lightyear size set, his spaceship.
Oh yeah, the from Lightyear, yeah.
But I mean, you would it would have to be 60 or $70 at that point.
No, they would go full 200, I think.
Well, I'm
I
thinking
just knowing
size
Lego
like Lightyear though.
depends on it. If they upscale it,
Right.
yes, they could do it. If they don't, yeah, if they keep it minifigure scale, for sure, you're correct.
I actually don't. I think a bunch of sub $100 18 plus sets would be genius on Lego's
Hmm.
point of build out some sets that are just again designed for adults but are not overly expensive. And they've done that with
Like
some of
the
like their helmets and certainly the
yeah,
botanicals, right?
and
Oh,
the Star Wars mini scale that they just did.
and actually I apologize because that's a great tie-in. I did the botanicals. I had a
Hmm.
thought on that. So I just and I apologize because I'm going to spoil what I'm building this week. I just built the chrysanthemum Lego botanical, and I on the last
Say that
episode I
7 times
mentioned
fast.
it. Yes, the chrysanthemum or the mums.
Chrysanthemum.
Yes,
Uh,
the mums. And in the sheet it said chrysanthemums are actually a plant known as one of the four gentlemen in Chinese gardens, and one of the other plants is the plum blossom,
oh,
which happens to be one of the other botanical sets that was released.
one of the other gentlemen,
The next one is the orchid.
which we already got.
Yep. And the last one is bamboo, like bamboo
Oh,
shoots.
so we're getting a Five Guys set because there's going to be Five Guys next, right? I'm
So
just trolling.
I'm curious to see. We have gotten bamboo builds in like the Tranquil Garden set and
Hmm.
in the Chinese New Year set, but we haven't seen like a bamboo set beyond that. I am wondering if maybe that could be the next botanical set, and then you'd have the four gentlemen. So
There you go.
yeah.
For a gentleman, but I'm still alone. Just kidding. All right. No, that's a good call. Nice detective work there, Wes. So write that one down too.
Yeah,
Bamboo set
I'm gonna call that a prediction, a bamboo botanical set.
for botanicals.
Yeah.
So I did hear this rumor not
Okay.
too long ago, where I guess read it. I didn't hear it. I read it on Reddit about a new IP clown.
Right.
No
It
idea what it is.
was that the one that was supposed to be the Simpsons, or that was the rumor?
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know for sure. Maybe
Okay.
The Simpsons. So that will be coming out next year. It looks like 18 plus, $229. So $230. Not sure about the piece count yet.
That one's always been taking those names and kind of connecting them back to previous.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't. So I'm curious. I think the connection there was either Bart being a clown or Krusty the Clown. And so I'm curious to see how true this holds up.
Hmm.
We've talked about Simpsons again in the past of, I don't know, I could take or leave a Lego Simpsons set, but another house
If
would be
it,
kind of interesting.
okay, perfect. That's exactly where I was going. If it is another Simpsons set,
Yeah.
what do they do? Like, do they have a full new slate of minifigures? Do they assume you have the sets from what, 2012 now? 12 years ago? Was it 2012 or 2014?
I don't
Either way,
remember. Yeah.
10 plus years ago, right? Like, it's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like they did with Lord of the Rings, when they revived it, they gave you the full suite of the Fellowship, right? Would you want a Simpsons house here? If you're a Simpsons fan, would that be disappointing if you already had the house, or would they do like a Krusty Burger or the Quickie Mart? The next thing I could think of is Krusty Burger.
And I'm looking at the set right now on Lego. I mean, it's a fine set, but it's nothing beyond.
The Simpson house,
Yeah, beyond it
but
just being a.
for the time, that was an awesome set.
Yeah, yeah, I'll grant you that much. There's I think some things that are definitely lacking in it, but I would agree that I think it is a really nice set for the time, especially. I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering if this could be maybe a return to SpongeBob. We finally get a Krusty
Mm.
Krab set. I don't know if the good people over at Mega Bloks still holds the license to that, but if they didn't, that would be a great one too.
So, good transition. Do you think we'll get any sort of Paramount, and by that I mean Nickelodeon set next year? Is it finally the year?
Oh,
I don't think so.
yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't. I mean, unless they get around Nickelodeon by going after Netflix's Avatar rights, and maybe there was a right in there where they have rights to toys for that show, and
Mm-hmm.
then Netflix gave them it with the live action one that was only okay.
Yeah, yeah, I don't see that changing at all. But and truthfully, like, what would they do, right? Like, you could tap into nostalgia,
Mm-hmm.
like a Lego
So
cat
what if
dog.
this was a $230 Appa?
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Oops, oops, or a Krusty Krab, like you said.
Yeah,
I don't think they would touch Fairly Odd Parents without doing SpongeBob first.
yeah, I agree. I don't think they would. Fairly Odd Parents would be an interesting set, but I just don't think it has the cultural reach or cachet that something
Mm-hmm.
like SpongeBob has.
All right. The other thing, kind of just to keep the conversation going, I know we're a little all over the place, but that's kind of the nature of this conversation.
This was kind of a
Um,
ramble tonight.
yeah, that's all good. We know we're gonna get the Twilight Cullen house from Lego Ideas.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
woohoo!
I'm
Uh,
not so much excited for the
hey,
Twilight aspect of
don't
it.
lie. You've reread all the books already in preparation for the build.
I'm just excited to get another great house build.
A
When
modern house too, if it's based off the movie.
which that new creator set actually did a really great job with.
Mm-hmm.
So getting another modern house out of Lego, I think will be really fun. And those are
You
always,
heard it here first. West will be getting this day one, lining up in line to get
it
the
just
Twilight
depends on
House.
how good it is. It would be weird if they made the vampires sparkle, like if they put sparkles in their, like the opalescent prints on them, or the color.
Hmm. That'd be interesting. But I think they kind of retconned that, didn't they?
I don't
Like in the
know.
later movies.
That was
I actually on the road trip I was just on, we listened to this podcast with
yeah.
you watched The League, right? With that guy who's the doctor that everybody always makes fun of. I forget the real guy's name.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So he does a podcast
Andre.
with he does a podcast with the guy that John Ralphio and Aziz Ansari's characters are obsessed with in Parks and Recs. I also forget his real life name. Um, Dennis Feinstein from Parks and Recs. So they do a podcast where it's called "How Did This Get Made," where
Okay.
they talk about movies, and it's like, how did this movie get made? So they did this whole series on Twilight. Apparently, they retconned the sparkly stuff because it was stupid in the movies because you don't ever see it again.
I mean, I
Like
never watched
after the first two.
the movies. That's
Oh yeah, neither did
incorrect.
I.
I watched one of them because you
I
guys
didn't watch
forced me
all of
to,
them.
and I never read the books. But it is a really stupid.
My wife likes them, so it's a safe place for those that like it here too.
And you know what? That's fair. We are not saying the people who enjoy it are dumb. We're just saying, hey, Twilight,
That you have dumb taste. No, 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 no.
not for us.
If you read the books as an adult, they are not very well written. That's all I'll say.
There's a whole series on Instagram and TikTok about that. So if you want to
Oh,
deep
really?
dive into it, oh yeah, it's pretty funny. That people
Okay.
are not holding back at all.
So maybe this is a safe place. So do you think, bringing this back to Lego, do you
Thank you.
think we'll get another Ninjago city set? Because it's been 2 years now, or this will be, we got one 2013, or sorry, oh my gosh, getting old. 2023, we got
Yeah.
one, right? With the markets. And we got the gardens, I believe, 2 years before that. And
Yep.
that's kind of unofficially, in my mind, kind of set this new rate of Ninjago city sets. Do you think we'll get another one this year?
Well, I think a third one every 2 years would certainly start to create a pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, there was a really long break between docks
and the gardens.
and gardens,
Yeah.
right? Because docks was 2017, and then gardens was like 2021, right?
I don't know enough about the show to know if like the new market set was pulled from something that had been previously done or if Lego was kind of inventing that as they go.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see another one. What they do there is really exciting. So that would be really cool to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think it'd be. I'm actually about to crack open the Ninjago City markets. So yeah.
And you took my train of thought, Grinch, because I had an idea of a future Lego set for this year in terms of releases and didn't. But what I'm curious actually along those lines is, could we see another Marvel set, another big Marvel set in 2025?
Part of the reason I had the idea for this episode was because that X Mansion leak,
Mm-hmm.
somebody was like, "What are we going to get next?" And I was like, "Oh, we should do an episode on like what are we going to get next year?"
Yeah.
And just that was just my train of thought. And I commented on the person. I was like, "Oh, well, knowing Lego Marvel, we'll get a Lego modular Hulkbuster because it'll be like 600 pieces, a double base plate wide Hulkbuster modular."
Oh, that's
And
funny.
I I cracked myself up. I didn't get as many upvotes as I thought I would on Reddit, but that's okay. That's don't do it all for the karma.
They took you.
Um,
They took you too seriously.
they no, some people comment it was good. Um, I could see maybe a Baxter building because Fantastic Four is coming out next year, so that would be certainly be interesting as far as like timing wise. That might be a little bit more relevant with having more interest in Fantastic Four
Yeah.
as
I
a next modular.
that's a tough one because that modular series has been, they've been really basing a lot of those buildings off of iconic Marvel buildings, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what else at the moment would really stand out for me.
Well, even though the Daily Bugle though is more comic based, right? And so is X Mansion for
Yeah,
sure. But like Oscorp Tower, it's certainly more famous than you know Sanctum Sanctorum as far as comics go, right? When it comes to MCU, obviously it's not been in the MCU, but yeah, I think that or Baxter Building for sure are two pretty well known buildings within the Marvel universe.
yeah. If we had to limit ourselves to MCU, what do you think could be next?
I honestly I wouldn't only because
You
two of the
wouldn't
two
limit.
modular sets, yeah,
Yeah,
because two of the two modular sets that we got were MCU and two were non MCU, right?
yeah,
Two were extended, two were. So I think it could go either way. I don't really see a pattern here of them doing like it's not like we got Daily Bugle and then Avengers Tower and then X Mansion and then Sanctum Sanctorum. It was just
right.
Daily Bugle, Sanctum Sanctorum, Avengers Tower, and Avengers Tower was heavily based off of the MCU, and then we got X Mansion. So I don't know. I wouldn't though. You know, analytically looking at it, I wouldn't say like, oh, there's a trend here. I would still say it's pretty open.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. So Grinch, I know We could talk across all the different themes and kind of speculate on some interesting kind of new sets for these, right? Or new themes too to tie
Mm-hmm.
in. So before we kind of get into the next sort of logical side of this discussion, do you have any other new themes or new sets that you're thinking of? I know, we know we're going to get two UCS Star Wars sets next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw out, we got our TIE Interceptor this year, right? Which has been returned to the TIE Fighter series. We just got our X-Wing last year. I wouldn't be surprised if we got another just really solid uh, original trilogy set for the actual UCS series. We've gotten our A Wing, we've gotten our Y Wings. We could return to the B Wing again, or maybe the TIE Bomber. This also wouldn't be a bad time to go back into the prequels. Any
Mm-hmm.
thoughts for UCS Star Wars?
I believe next year is the 25th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, correct?
Oh, what, 2003?
2005.
Was it 05?
Mm-hmm. Show was.
Yeah,
So, and I know we're getting it
that would be the
ARC
20th. Yeah.
170, but I think Lego's done it before. I mean, crap, there's literally like 3 RCS or R2D2 sets out practically.
Yeah.
Um, a UCS ARC 170 would be insane.
Yeah, but
Um,
would we get a play set in January just to get a UCS set in
we
June?
they have before.
I
I
suppose
mean,
that's true.
we've right like there's it's not it wouldn't be uncharted territory. Do I think it's gonna happen? No, I do think so. May will be a ship type of build probably. Maybe another UCS Naboo start. Well, no, not if they're doing 25th anniversary or 20th anniversary of
We did
Revenge
get
of the Sith.
we haven't gotten a episode 3 UCS set
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Um, I guess the gunship was episode 2, wasn't it?
Technically, yeah, an Attack of the Clone set.
There was a Grievous UCS set.
A buildable Grievous. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
true. Maybe a Jedi Starfighter? Like one of those.
Yeah, yeah. Jedi Starfighter would be. I think the set that will be out in the fall will be a play kind of scale set because
Yeah.
what they have been doing has been really big, giant $600 ship, AT-AT, right? The um um Mandalorian, Razor Crest. Gosh, I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
And then they'll do like the kind of more play scale type of set with like the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like a Jedi Temple would be really cool. Um, that'd be really cool.
I mean, a Jedi Temple, I think it's just a little too close to Order 66. So,
Yeah, but you just don't put clone. I mean, you know what is Order 66? 501st Clone Troopers.
yeah.
Literally.
I mean, literally the Jar Jar Binks, or not the Jar Jar Binks, but the Baby Yoda escape set
Right. Yeah, oh yeah, that
was
is
literally Order
reenacting.
66.
So I don't think they would steer clear just because of that.
That's fair. I don't know what they would do for another buildable set. They're definitely kind of, unless they start getting into the prequels or heaven forbid even the sequels, which I feel like is still kind of an
I don't
untouchable
think they'll touch the
status.
sequels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like the sequel or the prequels would be kind of the next best go. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious. We definitely know that there's no discernible like hints, right? We don't see any hints in the advent calendars or anything. So, but I do agree. I think another play set for the second UCS set of the year is probably we're definitely due. So let's,
Maybe a Death Star.
yeah. Oh, geez.
I mean, they haven't had a Death Star on the shelf for quite a few years now, right?
Yeah, I I don't know what the appeal is of those sets, to be frank. But
Well, I don't know. I've got the mini one from the 40th anniversary from May the 4th. That thing's awesome.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's now talk changing gears. Unless Grinch, do you
Hmm.
have any final spears you want to throw for kind of new themes or tie-ins for the year? So sorry, I'll let you go with that, and then I'll change us to another topic.
Any new themes or tie-ins for the year? I don't know. I think unfortunately DC fans, unless the super, maybe you get one Superman set, but I think it's probably going to be more of the same
Superman
as
and
far as
Friends.
yeah, it'll be like it'll be mini dolls Superman set. No, because the
Mighty
new Superman
Micros.
movie is coming out. But I think the last spear I want to throw and maybe door to open for conversation would be: are we going to get anything with Horizon, knowing that they're doing the Lego game?
Oh yeah.
Are we going to get any more
Mm.
sets there?
Yeah.
That would be kind of. I think if we did, it would maybe be a one-off
Yeah.
Lego set, maybe an icon set, something like that, like we got already with the tall neck. Um, that would certainly be interesting and pique my interest. But
That was a fun set.
oh, great set.
Yeah. You could get, I mean, there's all sorts of goofy critters in that show
Hmm.
that you could redo. So I think that's a good talk. We talked about some of the shoe companies. We talked about some of the tie-ins with Star Wars. What I want to talk about next is what's going away. What are we not going to see? So Grinch, what themes do you think, or what do you think is going to get retired next year? And kind of the bigger question is, do you think we're going to see any themes end in 2025?
Well, there is a list of actual retired sets that will be retiring. That's on Lego Reddit, Lego Leak on Reddit.
Yeah.
So go check that out. We're not going to go through the list tonight because
Which
that's
the
just going to
UCS Millennium
be.
Falcon has been on that list for the last like
It
three
was
years in a
pushed.
row.
I believe. Yeah, I believe it just keeps getting pushed, and
But
it was pushed again this year. Um,
what do you
but as
think
far
for
as like
themes? Yeah.
themes going away, I'm trying to look and remember because there's so many themes nowadays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I really hope Lord of the Rings makes another return,
That would be
especially
fun.
with the Riders of Rohan movie coming out this year, or the Rohirrim movie coming out later this year. Like, there's definitely some excitement.
Where do
Rings
you
of Power
keep hearing
literally
about
just
these
came out, but
movies that are coming out?
the internet, they just dropped the trailer. What do you mean?
For the Riders of Rohan movie?
Yeah, it's animated.
Oh, I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
dude, you gotta go check it out. It looks pretty good.
Okay.
Um, but I think obviously like Despicable Me will probably drop off. Dreams, I wouldn't be surprised. We already have a couple of sets announced for next year. I would not be surprised if Dreams was gone after next year and maybe
I
even gets canceled halfway through the year.
I think Dreams is on the chopping block for sure. I just
And
don't
then
see the appeal. But just because I don't see the appeal doesn't necessarily mean
right,
it's
right. It's not necessarily made for us, right?
right.
I do think next year could be the last year for Animal Crossing 2. That we obviously won't know until 2026. And then we did get a couple new themes this year: Lego Wednesday, Lego Wicked, and those we didn't even talk about the Lego Wednesday because again, it's not really for us, but that should be coming before the end of the year. Obviously, I think those will be come and gone. I think this will be the only year we probably see those.
Yeah, I
Um,
I would say, and to kind of focus the discussion, because the one-offs are good, right? But
mhm.
like, what do you think in terms of themes? And we mentioned it with something like dreams. Is there any other theme that you think that's been kind of that has at least 2 to 3 waves that you think could be done?
I know we're. I think we know there's already going to be Sonic sets, but I could see that one maybe starting to peter out next year.
Yeah, I
And
think the
then
movie, this second, did they release the second movie already?
the third one's coming out.
Oh dear,
You are really behind on your movie information, my friend.
I know, I know.
I could see I don't think anything's going to happen with your Harry Potter, your Marvel, your DC, your
I mean,
your
yeah,
Star
Harry Potter's
Wars. Like those
evergreen at
are
this point.
Jurassic World is, they're all. Hey, by the way, did you know Jurassic World Rebirth is coming out next year in July 2025?
What?
Scarlett Johansson's in it.
You should,
We
you
got to give West a break. He's having a kid or had a kid, so he's been a little bit more focused on that. That's okay.
are you making stuff up right now?
I
You could
promise you,
you could
I
make
would
something up.
never do that to you while we're recording.
You could be like, "This is Jurassic World genomic revolution." I'd be like, "Yeah, sounds legit."
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this next one, and I'm curious. I don't know if it's coming out next year, but we are getting a Ray movie.
Who? Oh, the Star Wars ones. Yeah.
Ray Skywalker.
Oh, I'm getting mean Palpatine.
No, no, no. Don't you mean Skywalker, Ian?
Stupid. God, it's such a stupid movie.
Let's not go down the Star Wars rabbit hole right now. So yeah, I think the core of Lego, I think it's gonna feel very, very similar. But I think where we talked about some of these one-off themes like Avatar,
Yeah.
I think at that point it's gonna be like one in, one out sort of thing. So, one in, Wednesday will be out or Wicked will be out, and we're gonna get 4 Avatar sets. I think it's that simple.
Yeah, I'm actually pulling up the Lego themes right now because I want to just see what we have on deck to just see if there's anything that we could expect. We already kind of talked about it with respect to the Dreams series probably being one that's going to be done. We know Dots is done. I think Despicable Me is a good call, Grinch. I think that
Is
one.
Dots done?
I thought they canceled Dots.
Oh, maybe they did. I must have missed that. Well, you were too busy. I was too busy understanding all the movies that are coming out.
There's only so many
Oh yeah,
penguins you can fit on
we
your
didn't get
iceberg.
any dot sets this year, did we?
You know, there's the Lego Animal Crossing.
Huh.
You mentioned that. I could probably see that one also getting canceled
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the year. Peppa Pig and Duplo. Maybe I could see that maybe staying. Gabby's Dollhouse is one that I could see going away. That was
That
really
was
like
one
a
I never knew
4+
existed.
set. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all 4+. So I kind of could see that staying, or again, maybe one in, one out with like a Bluey, because Bluey's like way more popular than Gabby's Dollhouse.
Yeah, that's fair. Indiana Jones is technically a sub theme. I don't think we're going to see that come
We
back.
didn't get any sets this year for Indy though.
No, we didn't. And I don't
That was
think
all
we
last
will
year.
because it was
Yeah.
all in conjunction with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What
But
about,
there were rumors that we were going to get some more for a
yeah,
little bit,
I mean,
and then
I
it
wouldn't be
was
opposed.
announced we weren't.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't know what they would do. Monkey
Well, they're
Kid.
not going to touch the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
We got to do a whole episode on Monkey Kid because
Do we?
I don't know what to think of it. We do. We do.
Let's see. You mentioned Sonic. So I'll just do a quick wrap up of the ones that we think. Let's just call this. We think these sets are on the chopping block, or these themes. We think Sonic the Hedgehog is on the chopping block.
We'll call it the hot seat.
The hot seat. Yeah, let's call it the hot seat. I could see.
I think Dreams is on the chopping block.
Okay, fair. But we'll include this on the hot seat. So we said Sonic. I would expect Gabby's Dollhouse to be on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams.
Which we do know we're going to get Dream sets already, and I think it's maybe been revealed we might be getting some Sonic sets too. But I think they could be the only sets we get next year, or next year will be the last year we get those sets.
I am predicting that 2025 will be the last year for these
Mm-hmm.
are these hot seat sets. So then we called Animal Crossing, and we already know Dots. I'll call Despicable Me as well, and then leave it with that. So I think all of those sets are on the hot seat. I don't know if we'll be able to tell by the end of next year whether or not this prediction came true, but or next August when we record again, it'll be we'll just stop seeing them make them. But I could see Dreams kind of coming to an end, us waking up out of this dream. See what I did there?
They've um they sorry, I couldn't stop laughing. They have kind of abruptly stopped themes before though. I mean, you remember Hidden Side, where it's like they January 1st, right? It was like this giant wave of Hidden Side, and then it was just like, hey guys, there's gonna be no more Hidden Sides. That's ever have fun.
Yeah, they kind of just like got it out of their system. They're like, this was
And then
everything
video,
else.
same thing with. I mean, when they cut themes, it's like it's done.
Yeah.
30% clearance. You're done. Get out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see, just Lego continuing to do what Lego does in terms of doubling down on things that sell well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we know the icons theme sells really well, right? We know, which actually, interestingly enough, Creator Expert is still its own theme, independent of icon, at least on the Lego website.
I believe that's because Assembly Square, if you click on it, my guess is it takes you to Assembly Square because they still have that sales. That set is like Tuck Everlasting and is drank from the fountain of youth over here. Like it
Nice,
is.
nice. That's a
Ah, you know that movie.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's why
Um,
I think that's why
well,
I think
there's
there's
actually a
there.
bunch of botanicals in it. I'm looking at
Oh,
the Creator Expert now. The image they have of the kingfisher is not actually in there for sale. And I don't. Does the kingfisher count as botanicals or icons? I don't know. I don't know. This is weird. So I would. I mean, as we all have been, I would just count them all as the same. But yeah,
that's funny.
it'll be
Yeah, that's just
interesting.
random and like high speed train. That was like a poly bag. That's not
Yeah.
a creator expert set.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just in progress. Grinch, let's kind of wrap up this conversation. Any parting shots for your predictions for 2025?
Um, no, I think I'm excited to see where they go with Fortnite. The more and more I was thinking about kind of the tangent we went on last week about it, about how like it's hard to make a video game set because inherently just playing the video game is always going to be better than playing that in Lego. For the most part, right? Or as, at least sustainably. Um, I think they didn't go that direction with Fortnite. That's why they have the sets that they came out with, right? They didn't really come out with any play scale sets. They did with one, and it was more of just the bust to like drop in so you can recreate it. But it's not like they did what they did with Overwatch or anything like that. It's they've got the Peely banana, skeleton
Mm-hmm.
Peely. They've got the llama. They got the little burger, but it's upscale. They got the loot llama. Like the direction they took it was more of a celebration of it in Lego versus a like recreation of it in Lego, kind of like you see with Minecraft. But Lego and Minecraft just they hand themselves really really well together because it's like Minecraft is practically Lego.
Yeah, and I did talk about the balloon pieces. Actually, this Fortnite bus has those kind of modern balloon pieces on it. So
Oh yeah, we've had a couple sets with those
earlier,
modern balloon pieces on them. I was
so
gonna call you out on it, but I moved on with my life. So if you
oh,
stop listening because Wes got that piece from, please come back. We're here still.
Grinch, Grinch, such a great little brother.
That's what I do. Hey, you
Yeah,
didn't even know the new Jurassic World is coming out next year,
why would I know that?
dude. Marshala Ali is in it.
Mahershala
Scarlett,
Ali.
what you say the names? I'll know that they exist.
Okay.
Scarlett Johansson's gonna be in it.
Yeah.
Gareth
I
Edwards is directing it.
oh, okay. Now you got me interested. I
Yeah.
actually think your discussion about for Lego Horizon Zero Dawn is a really good
Mm-hmm.
point, and I think that there's a lot of potential tie-in with that theme. So I agree. I actually like your analysis about Fortnite. That I think they did go away from some of those play sets for the reasons we talked about last episode, and so it'd be interesting to see what something like Horizon Zero Dawn does, because certainly in that case it's more about just building those creatures than anything else, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I think we could definitely see some of those, like I said, those critters built out in Lego, and That would be really fun. You're not going to see like some village where Aloy visits or something. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
like I forget some of the names of those guys, but like the
I've played so many games since I played Horizon, and like I'm
so,
just getting old, man.
but you have kind of like the bigger T-Rex looking one, right? And they're all
Yeah,
kind of based on dinosaurs or
right.
Grinch. So I think that's a great point. But let's move on and wrap up this episode this week and talk about what we're building. So Grinch, I already kind of spoiled what I was building this week. You actually put out a video of what you've been building this week. Why don't you tell the listeners what have you been building this week?
What are we building? Well, I built my Lego display. And spoiler alert, I actually did that last weekend. We just had our episode come out Monday and then a short come out Wednesday. So I didn't want to like have too many videos come out at once. So since then, I built up all my displays, got that all, situated. Really happy with how it turned out.
It looks great.
And that means though, what it really means is that
Is
I
it's
had
time for you to move again?
exactly. No, it means that I had pretty much. It means that I had time this week to actually build more Lego. So I built the Death Star diorama of the duel between Luke and and Vader in Episode 6.
Oh,
Pretty good build. Really simple. I really like those dioramas. Kind of continue with our episode today. I hope they continue those into 2025 because as of right now, those in the mini scale are the only Star Wars I'm collecting.
yeah.
um, and it gets my Star Wars itch just enough, and that's all I need. But I really enjoy those sets. And then actually, just this weekend, I built the medieval blacksmith.
Oh,
And
how
as I
was that?
mentioned, it was good. It's an interesting set because I'm gonna have it on display next to my 90th anniversary Lions Night castle,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
it's
That's a good
like almost the
tie-in.
same size of it though. So it's kind of like
Yeah, that looks
height
really nice.
wise because it's 3 stories and so is the Lions Night castle. You have to make every story so big to make minifigures fit into it. So it's kind of just I was sitting there like, does it need to be $200? Because it's just a big set, but it was a really good set. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just kind of like as I was building it, I was like, it kind of scales weird. And we had the whole discussion on scale. There's 2 chairs in it at like the dinner table that are like almost comically like they're like wider than the like way wider than the minifigure. And
Hmm.
the whole time I was doing it, I was thinking about an episode where we talked about scale about how like minifigures are already too wide. So it's like, so this chair is like essentially one of those big chairs that you take a photo on at the beach for like a tourist photo,
It's
or
a
like the
lifeguard
oversized
chair.
beach chairs. Yeah, it's pretty much a lifeguard chair. So it was a really good set. There's a lot of it like not super repetitive at all. Each floor felt very different and unique.
Hmm.
Um, Overall, awesome set. And
Nice.
even I was FaceTiming our mom, and she was like, "Oh, that's a cool set." And I was like, "That was a genuine reaction. Cool." It wasn't like, "Yeah, neat, dude. You're 30 playing with Lego. Cool, got it." So, no, awesome set. Really, ideas is just it's funny because I was building that and my wife was building the Lego Ideas Tuxedo Cat.
Oh,
And
nice.
that got me thinking about how just like ideas for the past like 5-6 years has just really been firing off on all cylinders.
Dude, they're good sets, man. I
They
think that
are.
is truly one of the best Lego themes right now, just because of the variety that we get from it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So what
I
about you?
already discussed it. I'm building or built the chrysanthemum. I
Mm-hmm.
pronounced it correctly that time. It's a great little plant.
Chrysanthemum.
We're coming into the end of the summer, early fall here in the United States. And actually, that's when we start to see mums for sale pretty much at every single store. We just
Mumps.
bought some at Costco. And when I say mums for sale, I don't mean mothers, I mean the plant. Chrysanthemum and mum are the same plant.
Actually, fun fact, West, our second largest audience is in the United Kingdom.
There you go.
So good clarification. We do not buy mums here.
That's a good one. I would hate
Yeah.
for our UK listeners to believe that we were buying mums at Costco. So
Do they have mums in UK? Like UK people, do you have mums, or do you call them something else?
I
Do you call
think
them
they
like
call them
carnies?
chrysanthemums.
Hmm, maybe.
I was.
Do you,
I
by
think a
their
better
name?
question is, do you have Costco in the UK?
Yeah, they do. I think so. Costco's global.
Oh, well, that's fair.
It's
I've
definitely in Canada.
been
That's
to
like the
one, and
UK, right?
I think
Classic American. Well, if it's in Canada, it's global.
I mean, it's the North American UK.
True.
They're a little more UK adjacent than we are, but we're not super removed from the UK
There
ourselves.
is Costco in the United Kingdom, and we have been off the rails this episode.
Yes.
But usually those are better episodes, so that's okay.
Let's get back on it. So, anyways, that's what I'm building. It was a great little build. If you can find it at Costco, the Lego Chrysanthemum set, it's definitely worth it. It's on sale. So it'll be a little cheaper than what you can get it at the Lego store or
Mm-hmm.
online. So it's a nice little deal for what ultimately was a nice little set. The base, the actual vase that it comes in is really fun. There's some great upside down building that goes into that, and then you build that up. And there's some really pretty drum lacquered gold pieces in it too that just adds a nice little touch and detail to it.
Sure.
So it's definitely going to be a nice little desk ornament, I think, for our new
Put it
office.
on a bookshelf or on
Yeah,
your desk. Yeah, that's awesome.
exactly.
I got to find my ship in the bottle and add it to my bookshelf behind me. Um,
But next,
the
oh, sorry, go
the
ahead,
other
Grinch.
thing I did that was Lego related
Yeah,
was I actually finished Lego Masters Australia season 4 because that's all I can watch here in the United States. And if you're in the United States and you want to watch it, it's actually available on a free streaming service. It's like literally free. You just need to make an account called Tubi. You have to watch commercials. There's like 2 minutes of commercials every 15, 20 minutes.
aren't the commercials
Um,
usually pretty funny too?
no,
Oh.
they've broadened their reach since I started watching Tubi. Before it
Hmm.
was like all these random like like pretty like discount commercial sort of things, but now it's like real commercials. Um, but yeah, so if anybody wants to watch that, personally, I think it's way better than the US version. It's like more about actually building Lego, which is a wild concept. Um, I enjoy the US version, but like this is purely, like some of the episodes are like an hour and a half, and like there was 8 teams and there was 14 episodes because they just didn't eliminate teams in the season. It was kind of like the twist was like they were just like, you'll never know if this is an elimination or not. And it's yeah. If you enjoy Lego Masters US, I encourage you to check it out.
I've watched
And if you're
the
in Australia, don't spoil season 5 and 6 for me.
first couple episodes from season one, and to Grinch's point, it's definitely a lot more like gloves off Lego Masters. And when you
Mm-hmm.
watch it side by side with the American one, it definitely looks and feels like the American one is kind of patting all of the competitors on the head as they go and holding their hands through the entire process. Whereas like Lego Australia is like, there's bricks. We gave you a task. Like, go do it. So,
Did you do the task? You
right.
didn't. Well, get out.
Yeah. So it's definitely fun. It's a lot more interesting, I think, than the well. I wouldn't say it's more interesting, but it's interesting to see a different sort of side
It's
to it.
more the Lego is more interesting, which is
Yeah.
why I don't watch it for like the cheesy drama that they build into it. That's not why I'm there. I'm there to watch Lego Masters. So I really, really enjoy it.
So let's move on to some brick mail from last week.
Brick mail.
And Grinch, just to recap for our listeners, our last week's episode was about fake Lego versus real Lego, right? And so we included things like our competitor brands and counterfeiters in our discussion. And so actually this one generated some interesting comments. The first comment we got was from Expos Win, who said, I completely agree with you about counterfeiters. However, I think you may have been too dismissive of legitimate competitors. I've only built a few from Funhole. Yes, the name is terrible so far, and they're good. I have no problem with the quality of their bricks and the quality of the designs. While not quite as good as Lego, in my opinion, is still very good. There have been a few quirks, but nothing unforgivably bad. As you mentioned, some of these competitors offer things you can't get from Lego. In Funhole's case, it's integrated lighting. Lastly, spending less on an alternative brand just means more building to enjoy since my dollar stretches further. I see no reason to be an absolutist about this. I'll buy sets that appeal to me, whether they're made by Lego or a legitimate competitor. I'd love to listen to an episode after you each build one or two sets from a competitor to see if you can be swayed. Maybe that's a challenge. Well, Expos
Maybe it
win.
is.
I think you bring up some great points. And, uh, I was looking through the Funhole website recently. Again, the name's awful, but they do offer some really fun, alternative takes. There's some really interesting modular buildings that they put together. Their minifigures are very weird. I will say that much. But going back to our discussion, one of the things that just sort of surprises me when I look at these sets is just how much of every single one of these bricks looks like a Lego brick. Like I just goes back to the discussion Grinch and I had of asking that question about, like, yes, the 2x4 brick is one that Lego lost its patent over, but did they lose their patent over everything else? Because other than the minifigures from this series, everything else looks like it's ripped straight from Lego. So I just don't see where, like, I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical about it.
I think
Lynch, what are your thoughts?
to what you're kind of alluding to is like it is a direct competitor, but for you it still kind of feels like maybe a bit of a ripoff of Lego. Of it is legally they can copy and paste it because the law says that they can, but it still feels that way, which kind of turns you off from it.
Yeah, and I would put on my tinfoil hat here a little bit and say that I actually think that the reason that the Funhold minifigures don't look like actual Lego minifigures is probably because the Lego minifigure is a patent that they still have.
Yes, they do. We talked about that last week.
Did we talk about the
Or,
minifigures
or I
specifically?
mentioned it. I mentioned
Okay.
that they still had it. Yeah.
But
Yep.
everything else is almost the same. So I think that's
But to
interesting.
play devil's advocate, so for example, I'm looking at Susan's Antique Co.
Mm-hmm.
and there's a sign on there, and it's essentially a 1x3 tile with 2 clips on it.
Mm-hmm.
That piece doesn't exist in Lego. So there are sometimes, and I say sometimes, it is by no means, all the time.
Yeah.
Nowhere close. But there is on occasion, I mean, gosh, I'm looking at the plant pieces that they use in the window awnings, which is just literally a copy and paste of the Lego plant piece, of like the little like twirly tall grass one. But
Mm-hmm.
there are times where a competitor like this will kind of even challenge Lego a little bit and be like, "Hey guys, this Lego piece is super useful," and then Lego comes out with it.
Yeah. No,
So
I
I
mean,
do think competition at the end of the day is still always good, especially for the consumer.
yeah, that's totally fair. I'd be interested. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to trying one, especially for the sake of the podcast, to just share our opinions on it. So, Grinch, any thoughts there?
Um, I mean, again, I just consider myself a Lego purist. Is all. It's just like, you know, I enjoy football. My favorite team's the Broncos. That doesn't mean I like to watch and the Ravens play.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I just like to watch the Broncos play. I like the product that they put out and whatever. Um, so I would still consider myself a Lego purist, and
Yeah. Let's move on to the next
but
one.
you're
Okay.
allowed to buy whatever you want at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So people see
absolutely.
value in different sets and see value differently, and that's totally fine.
And
That's what makes the world go round.
we're actually going to get another take on this in just a second. But Grinch, why don't you take the next comment?
All right. So our next comment is from Jason GN2045. And he, I assume, says the original Lego Adidas collaboration shoe for adults, I think, was the ZX8000. Definitely didn't appeal to a lot of people, but later they released multiple versions / colorways for the Ultra Boost and the Grand Court, which were much more stylish. I own a few pair. They also made a version of the Racer TR21, which looked pretty decent in my opinion. Might be neat if they collaborate on shoes for adults with Nike. So, Mr. Jason, my question to you would be, what shoe would you like to see from Nike? But I agree. I
Mm.
actually didn't know. I knew that they came out with the first one, I guess the ZX8000, and it just looked a little goofy to me. So I kind of stopped paying attention to this.
And just to
There's
clarify, these are the actual shoes that humans wear,
the
not the
real
built
shoes.
Lego
Correct.
shoes.
Right. Right. So they did was it the Superstar? What was that shoe called?
It looked kind of like a Samba.
Yeah. Like an Adidas shoe. I forget what it's called. Um, it's just like the original, right? Is that what that shoe's called? Yeah, Superstar. Duh. Um, that set was only okay in my opinion, but yeah, what we're referring to is the actual shoes that you can wear. I think the coolest part about the Lego set was the fact that it came in that like Adidas shoe box. I just really liked that. It's just kind of a nice touch. Um,
I mean,
I don't know if that hurt how well it sold, but
I think it's definitely like a really cool, just sort of toss up there from Lego to like all of the fans of shoes out there. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Like it's different. It's unique. I think the Nike collaboration could have the same sort of throw. I don't know. I
right.
think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see.
I think Air Forces would be really cool. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Jason, let us know what you think.
All right. Our next comment comes from your boy Taco 2091. Taco. He says,
Taco.
I think you guys were rightfully harsh about fake Lego. I refuse to use anything else that doesn't have the Lego logo. So Taco's a purist too. Hey, Taco.
Taco's my boy. Taco. That's exactly how it's not for me. It's not about like just the building of the bricks. It's about building Lego. I don't know how to explain it. Honestly, I was thinking about this earlier today, knowing that we were going to talk about this. And you remember when we were kids, and I got a Mega Block set,
Mm-hmm.
and you just like about disowned me. I mean, you were like, "What the hell are you doing? You can't buy that crap. Don't even mix it in with our Lego." And I was like, "What?" I mean, by the way, I was like 7 and Wes was like 11 or 10. Like it wasn't like I'm not shitting on West
It's
here,
all
but
making sense.
that ingrained it in me of like you can't buy fake, non and I do in hindsight, I think we should have titled the episode Lego versus non-Lego, but I think non-Lego would have been more synonymous with like other toys. So I wanted to, when you hear fake Lego, I think people naturally go to like these one-off brands.
We were showing our bias a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we're showing our bias. So, but thank you, Taco, and then also Expos wins. Thank you. All opinions are welcome here. I want to be very clear on that. And I think we got to put our money where our mouth is. So challenge accepted. Maybe we'll try one of these fun whole sets. I just like I don't even want to support the brands, but but I can get over that.
So actually,
Because for me, if I buy the $150 set, that's $150 I didn't spend on Lego, not the other way around.
totally fair. So actually, Expos win. I'm going to push this one to you, back to you. Recommend us one of the sets to go get. Now, keep in mind, I think neither Grinch or I necessarily want to spend a ton of money on it, but if you have a good recommendation for one, maybe one on the smaller side. Certainly, Funhold doesn't have a huge catalog, but we'll give that a try. And then actually, I don't know if somebody mentioned it on here. I felt like somebody mentioned it at some point. So I wanted to talk about one other competitor that we didn't necessarily bring up, which was Kata. And if you go to their website and look at some of their stuff, the issue I have with Kata is they, well, like, for example, they have a NASA set, but we know NASA licensed with Lego. They say that they have an officially licensed Shell set. Okay, I could maybe buy that. I mean, Shell used to license with Lego. They don't anymore.
No, there's a big backlash about it because of all the
But they have some
oil.
different cars. They have one that looks like a Technic version of the McLaren P1 that just released this year. And then they have some Porsches. They have something labeled Mercedes, but then they also have a Ferrari, but it's not a Ferrari. And I think if you start to look through their other catalog, they have a whole series on Initial D, which is a comic from Japan about street racers, to include what are effectively brickheads. of those street racers. I just that bothers me because I just feel like we're teetering there on again, kind of playing very fast and loose with intellectual property in a way
I
that
will say, didn't Lego kind of rip the brickheads from Funko Pops?
yeah, well,
Art, well, and gotcha.
got
I mean,
him. Yeah,
but art is. I think that's part of the challenge with like defining the IP
yeah.
is that like art is inherently, something that you produce, right? And if it's a stylistic thing, you can't trademark a style
No,
unless it's
exactly.
synonymous with your brand, right? And in my graduate school, we talked about this with like brands like Hooters and stuff, which was actually a really interesting conversation. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. Um, but my guess is this has to be officially licensed by NASA if they're saying it is.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at some of the different car ones too, like sports cars, right? And Jang did a build of a Cata sports car. They have one
Mm.
called a blue race car that looks like a Bugatti. They have one called a red race car that looks like a Ferrari. They have one called the Lotus Evira, which was actually, I believe, that was the set that they did in Speed Champions. They'd have a Mazda set. I don't know if it's actually licensed by Mazda. There's a Mustang in here. There's a Citroen. It would be interesting to see if like these companies actually gave them permission to do it. I don't know. I mean, some of these brands are real brands, some of them aren't, but they're definitely. I mean, this one looks like a Lamborghini. Like,
Yeah, if you scroll down to the bottom, it says purposeful licensing. And it's got AMG, RUF, Toyota, Mazda, Suzuki, Land Rover, Humvee, Citroen,
I mean, they do have a page
Volvo,
about
LVC.
intellectual property rights.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they're legit. Nobody's questioning that. But it does make me wonder from like a competitive standpoint. A lot of these kind of niche brands exist because of the internet and they're all mostly all direct to consumer, right?
mhm.
So it
And we
makes you
didn't,
kind of wonder if
we didn't,
Lego's going to start like cracking down on like, hey Mercedes, if we're doing a speed champion, we can be the only building block brand that has your license. Like they're going to probably push for exclusive rights.
but I would be surprised if they didn't. And I guess that's what I'm getting at is like, why would they not? You know what I mean?
They never
Certainly.
had to.
Well,
It's
that's
probably it's
probably
probably
fair.
more expensive too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're the company though, like Lego would be the one to go with. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
the
but they don't. Who's ever doing it unless they're a fan of Lego, they're just looking at it as like, okay, do I go tell my boss I made $50,000 off this licensing deal, or do I send it to two people and make $100,000 off this licensing deal?
and if they didn't say you couldn't. So yeah, I hear you. Let's press. We have one last comment. Grinch, do you want to take that one?
I can. This is from Adam Cruz. Adam, actually, you sent in two emails. I didn't put your reply on here just because we had quite a bit of brick mail, but I'll reply to it on Gmail. Adam said, "Hey guys, like the podcast, been listening to it for a while. To it while I work. I relate to the curating and fatigue episode. I recently went through that. I'm still debating on if I should collect Mario sets to use for mocks, but I love the adult sets. My thought on there is buy one, and you'll be like, these are overpriced. Like they're just not good price parts. They're not overpriced. They're fairly priced, but there's a lot of big specialized pieces like the ground plates that they use are very specific for that. And
Yeah.
like how many of those do you need in like bright red and blue and yellow or even green? Um,
I mean, unless you're
but yeah,
building Mario mocks.
unless you're building like a Mario World mock, correct? Yeah, maybe you like them because they kind of have that like pixelated feel to
Mm-hmm.
them in
Mm-hmm.
some regard. As per the title of the email, I wanted to hear your take on Lego and their video game sets. Some are official, like Mario and Minecraft, while others are one-off minifigures, like the Battlefront Troopers or Arkham Batman. The Sonic set packs a lot. Sets pack a lot of references and details, like the mints for Tails and the grapes for Knuckles. Not to mention Lego Dimensions and Flow Play and all that jazz. You also made a good point of us waiting for Zelda since the days of Kuso. Bits and Brick has also been a good listen for some of those things. People have done Lego Super Mario times Mario Kart live home circuits. Those guys are pretty cool. Let me know your thoughts. What you'd want in the future, and other related content. Sincerely, Adam. So thank you, Adam, for writing in for the first
Yeah,
time. I know
thank
you
you,
sent
Adam.
another email. I think it was kind of just an expansion on this too. Wes, do you have anything here? I can certainly give my opinion too.
No, I mean, I think as Adam pointed out, there's a lot of different sets. I think the video game series is definitely, there's still some tie-ins that Lego I think could go and use. You know, we talked about, like Adam brought up, like the Battlefront stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's another Battlefront exclusive figure, but you know, you could sort of rebrand the battle packs as like Lego Battlefronts a little bit. I think that would be like kind of a really interesting tie-in. You could build like a buildable one of those like checkpoints that you have to capture, right? With like the
Yeah.
translucent blue, like Rebels figure or symbol or something. That would be kind of interesting. But certainly there's some other, you know, ways to tie in. I did really like his tie-in for Arkham Batman. I think we have had some Arkham sets, but you know, between those and like the Spider-Man sets, that I think is another maybe untapped well for Lego in terms of
Mm-hmm.
those different comic book series. Um, yeah, that's kind of all I have for Adam. Other than his Mario Kart comment has made me has made me think about a Lego Rainbow Road set, and I think that would
Oh,
just be really cool.
that would be cool.
But
Um,
anyways, Grinch, what do you think?
yeah, Adam, thanks for writing in. I think Lego Dimensions was like a hidden gem, and the more it ages, the more I love it. And I need to go watch some. You know, I don't have my PS3 anymore. I do have an Xbox 360 though. No, I don't need to go get it. Like, do I got to go buy Dimensions to play it? No, I don't have time for that. But I'll probably watch somebody play it online because like that was a really cool one. And we actually, after we kind of went down that kind of rabbit hole, I think that was during our news last week.
Mm-hmm.
We went down kind of a long rabbit hole of Lego video games, and I actually wrote it down as a podcast title idea, or just a discussion point for the future of just Lego adaptations or Lego video game adaptations in Legos, because it you're kind of right on the money where like you have like a whole wave like Sonic, or in Sonic's case multiple waves like Overwatch, like you had two waves. Sonic, I think they're on the third wave now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the other approach, which is more of like um, Horizon Zero Dawn, like we kind of talked about earlier today. So I certainly think there's a lot to kind of discuss there, and I'll save most of my comment for that episode. Um,
I think that'll
but
be
I
a
but I
really fun episode,
yeah,
actually.
I do too. It's if yeah, I think it'll be probably kind of like this one where we go off on a couple of tangents. But
Just a few.
I did want to call out, like I really liked how we were never going to get Star Wars Battlefront sets,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't necessarily think that we needed to, because I think Star Wars Battlefront already lives within the Star Wars universe. But I certainly liked how, and I think one of the better tie-ins that we've ever gotten to like expanded Star Wars universe stuff has been Star Wars Battlefront battle packs. Like the couple that we got were
Mm-hmm.
really good,
Well,
and
I
it
think we only
also
got
kind of,
one, didn't we?
I thought there was two. Um, oh, actually, no. There's four. There was the three. Sorry, there was the one for Battlefront 2, and then there was the two from the original one. That got us kind of some cool alien troopers. So I honestly I forgot about the Battlefront 2 one. But I
Well,
think that's just a good way to get some of these things from an expanded kind of universe within a Lego theme that already exists.
sorry, Grinch, you have gotten me completely flabbergasted. I thought they only did the one Battlefront
For
set.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, they
They
did one for Battlefront 2 that came with like Iden Verso and like the her troopers,
mm-hmm.
and then they did some for the original remake of Battlefront, where they were just battle packs. You wouldn't know it by looking at it, but
Oh,
if you go on a
so
Brickset, they're
it
actually
wasn't.
Star Wars Battlefront themed.
Oh, well, I guess they've already done that then.
I'll show it to you afterwards. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. That can
yeah.
be a conversation for afterwards. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
Grinch, any other final thoughts for the episode today?
I don't. I think this was typically more. Our conversations have a little bit more
Structure.
structure to them. So I think this was a little bit of a test of like, can we kind of just take a very loose idea here and make an episode about it? So please, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. But also, let us know in the comments. Did you like this style of episode? We could certainly do more of them as topics come up, or maybe you prefer it to be a little bit more structured. Either way, let us know, and we can adjust and adapt.
Yeah, this was definitely more of a riff. So I did want to leave our listeners with two things. The first one is we talked about the Lego endurance set earlier. The TED Talk I was referencing is "Are We Celebrating the Wrong Leaders" by Martin Gutman. And you can find that on YouTube. Just search "Are We Celebrating the Wrong Leaders?" It's a very interesting TED Talk, but has to do with Ernest Shackleton, which is not, again, to take away from any of his achievements so much as it is just to highlight
How
that
dare you, West, take away
sometimes,
from his achievements? He's a hero.
well, I don't know if we have any Irish listeners, and I think they still hold him in high regards. So, um, anyways, let's press. The last thing I had was I actually wanted to make a recommendation for our listeners. We've talked about Lego, we've talked about Star Wars. One of the things that I've been listening to recently as a podcast is a podcast called Delusions of Grandeur. And it's this really awesome podcast by these two hosts who are going back and reading the old Star Wars novels in the expanded universe. And they read them 4 or 5 chapters at a time, and they just kind of go back and forth and talk about them. Each episode is about 45 minutes long. It's fantastic. I cannot recommend it anymore. So once you're done listening to our podcast, go give those guys a listen.
What was that called?
Delusions of Grandeur.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
that's a wrap of another episode of AFOLs Welcome. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you are listening to the show. If you would like to write the podcast, please email us at afolswelcome@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at afolswelcome. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Peace out.